question is, what comes next for New York City? President Trump's sphere of influence seemingly suffocating New Yorkers as he exerts his executive authority to vastly change the lives of the people who live here.
And directing his Justice Department to terminate approval on the congestion pricing, and then the Justice Department, of course, dropping the corruption case against Mayor Adams.
Now, the White House even posted this fake magazine cover on social media with the quote, "Manhattan and all of New York is saved. Long live the king." Of course, Governor Hochul had some response to that. We are joined now by David Birdsell, Provost and Senior Vice President at Kean University. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Great to be here.
First question to you. The president just slammed the brakes on congestion pricing here in New York City, and it looks like this whole fight is revving itself up again. Give us your take on why you think it is that he decided to use his influence on what is such a local issue.
Well, it's very clear that the president does not confine his activity to the traditional scope of what a president deems important. As you point out, this is a local funding plan and transportation protocol. It's not something that rises to the level of national importance. Now, he has claimed authority, and more specifically, his transportation secretary, Sean Duffy, has claimed authority to just stop this in its tracks. It's not clear that they actually have that authority. All of the issues that the president mentioned in that brief clip from his interview on Air Force One were extensively examined in a process that was then certified by the Department of Transportation in December. And with that certification, you can't just snap your fingers and say it's gone. You have to go through something resembling the same process for environmental impact, commuter impact, traffic impact, et cetera. And that obviously has not happened. So that's what Governor Hochul is taking to court, and my strong suspicion is that in the courts, she will win. The question is, will the administration respect that decision?
Yeah, that's going to be the interesting part there. President Trump also directed the Justice Department to drop the corruption case against Mayor Adams, leading to multiple resignations within his own department. What are the potential implications of this intervention on how the mayor, I guess, manages the city?
Well, this puts the mayor in a very, very difficult bind. If Judge Ho decides today to dismiss the charges, it will look like there is a quid pro quo. I know that this is something that the mayor denies categorically, that his attorney has sworn to take an oath on in court, that the president denies, but you have the very clear language of the Emile Beauvais letter ordering the federal attorney, the U.S. attorney, to drop the case, saying we need this to happen so that the mayor can enforce immigration policy of this administration. And that was the predicate for the resignation on the part of Ms. Sassoon and 7 others from that office. So there are very clear implications on that end. Let's say on the other side that she allows it to go forward. Well, then you have a judge confirming a grand jury indictment and saying we believe that there is reason and the public interest to pursue this mayor because of activity alleged. So it's a very difficult position for him, and it makes it harder every day for him to govern effectively, especially now that he lacks 80% of his senior leadership team.
I want to bring it back to that fake social media. Well, it was a real social media post, but it was a depiction of a fake magazine cover. We showed it a second ago. It was a picture of President Trump wearing a crown. The caption said, "Congestion pricing is dead. Manhattan and all of New York is saved. Long live the king." Obviously, you can see it there on the screen. This is sparking a lot of controversy, a lot of conversation. What do you think this type of messaging indicates about President Trump's approach to governing and all, but also his relationship with New York City?
Our Constitution is very carefully crafted not to be a one-person, one-branch operation. President Trump has rejected those constitutional guardrails both vertically and horizontally. Horizontally, I mean that notion that you have 3 branches co-equal, the legislature, the judiciary, and the executive branch. And he has said basically that the executive branch doesn't have to listen to what either of those other 2 branches has done. Congress clearly has in Article 1 the power of the purse. He is impounding money that Congress has appropriated in all previous administrations, with the exception portion of the Nixon administration, which was actually taken to court and and the Nixon administration was forced to release funds that they had impounded. Everybody has understood that the full and faithful execution of the laws of the United States is job one of the president, not so Donald Trump. By vertical, I mean that we have powers reserved to the states, and that is Amendment number 10 of the Constitution. We have powers that are reserved within the states to localities. The president respects none of that. He believes that he, as president, can lean into state policy, into city policy, into anything that actually catches his fancy at that point in time for whatever reasons. So it really is an imperial presidency on steroids in his vision. And right now, this is exactly what's being litigated in courts all across the United States.
So, to that answer, at what point does everybody say, including Congress and the courts, say, we've had enough? This is what your job is, and now you're going to allow us and the rest of us to do our jobs? I mean, it's only been 4 weeks, but...
It's 4 weeks today exactly. So yes, we are just at the beginning of all of this. And that's a real question. The Trump administration is pushing very, very hard. And there may be several reasons for that. One is the perception that people will lash back against this. And the first manifestation of that will be the midterm elections in 2026. We're still, obviously at this stage, 19 months out from that event. But that's one possibility. One of the real questions here, because the courts are issuing injunctions, not in every case, but in most cases, they're saying this really needs to be litigated. You could conceivably, just to take the congestion pricing example, remove the authority, but there has to be a process under it. So some of this will probably go the administration's way, even legally. But the fact that they're getting out here in front first by saying, we're just going to do it, is what the affront to the law is. Where is the Senate? The Senate, the Congress, they are the body that is being most deeply undercut here because their laws are being selectively enforced or not enforced at all or directly overturned. And that is the point of constitutional and practical pride that would be the first shoe to drop if those bodies can actually find their backbones.
There's also money that's already been allocated to certain departments that are getting looked into. Yeah, it's an interesting month so far, and we'll see how month 2 goes with President Donald Trump. Thank you so much, David Birdsell from Kean University, for joining us this morning. A great conversation.